Corruption is a global problem, which nearly every country on Earth deals with in one way or another. The 2015 Corruption Perceptions Index, published by Transparency International, is a valuable tool for insights about what parts of the world suffer the most from bribery, embezzlement, and other abuses of power. In particular, one region that stands out is Africa, specifically the Sub-Saharan. According to the index, 6 of the 10 most corrupt countries are in Africa, with Somalia at the bottom of the list. The worst affected countries are also some of the poorest in the world, and while corruption helps a select few, it costs the continent billions. One study shared by the United Nations estimates roughly $150 billion is lost to corruption every year just in Africa alone.
When we think about political structures in developing countries, they tend to be very weak. They tend to be very centralized in the sense that there may be one charismatic person who's driving the whole or a big slice of politics in a developing country.
That's Dr. Kweku Apoko-Acheman, a postdoctoral research fellow at the Blum Center for Developing Economies at the University of California, Berkeley. In one study, Dr. Apoko-Acheman looked at the effects of raising salaries for police officers in order to curb bribery in West Africa.
If you spend any amount of time driving in West Africa, you often don't go very far before you're stopped at checkpoints and extorted by police officers and other government officials. Well, in 2010, the government of Ghana decided to raise the salaries of police officers. So this provided a nice natural experiment for us to see whether higher salaries reduced or worsened corruption.
By paying officers more money up front, officials hoped that not only would it mitigate their need for petty bribery, but also increase the risk of losing that higher salary by being fired for corruption. The researchers expected corruption to fall, but the exact opposite ended up happening. Police officers would stop drivers more often and attempt to extort even more money than before, an increase of roughly 25%. A number of theories have been proposed to explain the seemingly contradictory results.
So perhaps different social reasons played a role in people extorting more money where we would have expected less money. Think about what you're paid versus what you think you deserve. If there's a difference between these two, that difference will be what you'll be stealing. Part of the reason why it had a worse effect is that we think that for police officers who were extorting the money, when they were better paid, their sense of self-importance was exaggerated.
While these issues were examined in Ghana, Dr. Apoko-Acheman says that they can be extrapolated to include the rest of Africa, and so can some of the solutions. One of the biggest efforts has been to increase education, both overall and about the prevalence of corruption.
You may come to think that it's normal, it's acceptable, since it's all that you know. So one of the big policies which have to be focused on has to do with raising awareness and education in developing countries, as well as providing the broader structures for policies to work.
Another suggestion has been to implement more technological solutions, like people paying for their transit fares through a mobile app, leaving no room for bribed cash transactions.
You know, if you are dealing with a person, it's easier for the person to extort money from you, but if you're dealing with a machine, that part is taken out of the discussion. So there's a big race to automate as much of government services in Africa as possible to remove the middleman who may extort bribes.
While corruption continues to plague much of the developing world, many solutions have been proposed, yet the problem has seen little improvement. While Dr. Apoko-Acheman's observations and solutions are valid, they'll likely take a long time to implement and an even longer time to take effect. With something as institutionalized and historically accepted as bribery and corruption, change will be slow and intermittent, with plenty to learn along the way. We want to take a moment to thank our partner at the Blum Center for Developing Economies at the University of California, Berkeley, an innovation and research hub that's tackling issues in global poverty. Make sure to check out some of their incredible work by visiting blumcenter.berkeley.edu. Although corruption is an endemic problem in Africa, that's not the only part of the world struggling. To learn more about what drives corruption and which countries are suffering the most, check out this video.
The country that took the biggest tumble was Brazil, which dropped 7 positions in just 1 year. This is due in part to the Petrobras scandal, in which Brazilian politicians allegedly took millions of dollars in bribes in exchange for awarding public contracts.
Thanks for watching Secret Daily. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos every day.